A good day to all. Today we are going to deal with the poem Home They Brought Her Warrior Dead by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Please take page number 67. Before we start the chapter, let us look at a bit about Tennyson. So, Alfred Lord Tennyson, he was born in 1809 and died in 1892, was a famous 19th century English poet. So he lived during the time of William Wordsworth. He was a poet laureate. Poet laureate means it's an honor given to the best poet of that time. So he was the poet laureate of that time of Great Britain and Ireland during much of Queen Victoria's reign. Reign means rule. So when it was Victorian period, when it was a time ruled by Queen Victoria, he was the poet laureate. Many of his poems are full of strong emotions, sorrow, courage, and religious devotion. So his poems contain variety of themes like sadness, bravery, and concepts like religion. In this poem, the poet speaks of witnessing the reaction of a dead soldier's widow at his death. So, the poem is about a widow. Her husband died. That is the theme. The terrible shock stuns her. It means because of this shock, she is very astonished. She is not able to move. And the poet notices her lack of reaction in the first few stanzas. So in the first few stanzas, she is not at all reacting to the situation. Her husband is dead, but she is not at all giving any reaction. She is not crying, she is not grieving. However, the last stanza reveals that she is not only a widow, but also a mother. The realization that she will have to raise the child alone shocks her back to life, and she weeps over the loss of her husband and the father of her child. So she is weeping. When she came into her senses, when she saw her child, she remembered that she has to be responsible, she has to take care of her child. Okay, so that's the theme of the poem. Now let us look at the poem. Home they brought her warrior dead. So, the warrior, the husband of the widow, he was brought into home. She nor swooned nor uttered cry, so she did not faint or she did not cry. All her maidens watching said, she must weep or she will die. So all her maidens means young women. Here it means her friends. They said to each other, she has to cry, she has to weep, or else she will die because of the sadness inside her. It is not good to have sadness inside us. We must let it go. We must cry. Crying is an expression of our sadness. We must express our grief. We must express whatever emotion we have. Then they praised him soft and low, called him worthy to be loved, truest friend and noblest foe. Yet she neither spoke nor moved. Then in order to make her cry, which is a good thing for her at that moment, her friends praised her husband in a soft and low voice because it's a funeral house. They called him worthy to be loved. They told him he was a very lovable person, a true friend, and the noblest foe. Foe means opponent, a warrior. He was a very noble warrior, a very brave warrior. He was a true friend. Yet she neither spoke nor moved. But even after hearing all this, she didn't speak or move. Third stanza. Stole a maiden from her space, lightly to the warrior stepped. Stole means moved slowly. So a maiden moved slowly from her place, from near the widow. Lightly to the warrior stepped. So she stepped very closely to the dead body of the warrior. Took the face cloth from the face. So she removed the face cloth which was used to cover the face of the dead body, the warrior. Yet she neither moved nor wept. Still then she didn't cry or move. So this was the second attempt done by the friends to make her cry. They thought that when she sees the face of her husband, she will finally start crying. But even that didn't help. Rose, a nurse of 90 years, set his child upon her knee. So there's a nurse called Rose. And she, what did she do? Set his child upon her knee. And she set the child upon the knee of the widow. So this nurse is 90 years old. So she has the wisdom to know. She has the wisdom to do what is the right thing. So she knew if the widow sees her child, she will think of the child. She will cry and that will bring her relief. So Rose, a nurse of 90 years, set his child upon her knee. Like a summer tempest came her tears. So when the widow saw her child, she started crying like a violent storm. Tempest means violent windy storm. She cried all at once, exploded. All her grief came out at once. Sweet my child, I live for thee. Thee means you. Then she told to her son, my dear son, I am living for you. So when she saw her child, she had the determination to live again. She had hope in her life again, to live further. She was behaving as if there was no hope for her in her life. But when she saw her child, she remembered her child. She came back to her senses. So she thought she must be living for her child. So she started crying. So crying is the beginning of healing from the pain of the the news of the dead husband. So this is basically the poem. The questions and answers I will upload as PDF. So this is the end of the chapter. This was a very small poem. So thank you all.